This is SCP-6448, not deer. This is, once again, a video by the Volgun. We love the Volgun over here. If you find a way to, you might get categorized as an SCP. My YouTube chat has already decided that my Twitch chat is an SCP, and you guys have already decided I am an SCP, so at this point I feel like, so far nobody has come to kidnap me to secure, contain, or protect me. I'm just saying. Nobody has tried so far, and I'm a little offended. If you hear weird creaking, it's my chair.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Miller. And the SCP we're going to be looking at today is SCP-6448. Containment Class, Keter. Disruption Class, Kennick. And Risk Class, Warning. Special Containment Procedures. Containment of SCP-6448 should be focused on investigation of deer exhibiting anomalous traits within and around the Appalachian area. All civilian sightings of SCP-6448 should be attended to by Mobile Task Force Gamma-4, Green Stags. Possible deaths resulting from SCP-6448 should be attributed to hiking accidents, and sightings are to be blamed upon chronic wasting disease.
Chronic wasting disease. Wait, that's a deer disease. I read about that actually. A bit of an intermission here. I was actually considering if we should go over the cryptid first, or if we should just dive deep into this video immediately. Maybe to get a bit more of a head start on the lore, or do we just want to go into this blind? So chronic wasting disease is a common identified disease in wild deer. So keep that one in mind. That's what they're blaming it on.
Site-44 Cryptozoology Division is tasked with ongoing research into the not deer phenomenon. Should an SCP-6448 instance be captured, it is to be brought to Site-44 for containment and study. Description: SCP-6448 is an anomalous branch of the Cervidae family. All members of this group display heightened intelligence and are presumed to be sapient. Many specimens exhibit some form of physical malformation, causing them to stand out from non-anomalous deer. While the exact details of physical abnormalities differ between instances, repeat commonalities are as follows: legs bent backwards, barrel-chested or bloated abdomen, emaciation, eyes belonging to unrelated animals, forward-facing eyes, erratic movements.
That's a whole other skull. That's a whole other skull. Not even conscious, but sapient. Fuck that. Yeah, right? But like we can learn what they got wrong after. I mean, the other instance is a cryptid. I wouldn't say it's necessarily right either way.
Loss of fear towards humans. Tendency to walk on two hind legs. General bodily disfigurement. Aside from physical disfigurement, instances show severe divergence from the behavior of other cervids. Namely, SCP-6448 are known to watch, observe, and stalk humans, often for hours or days. This includes following humans to and from their homes, wherein they will proceed to steal belongings, weapons, and food. Very rarely will SCP-6448 attack victims while they are indoors.
I hate the idea that they just stalk you home. They've specifically chosen you. You're on a walk. You're alone in the woods. There's Shia LaBeouf. You're alone in the woods, and out there you see a deer, not Shia LaBeouf. You see like a deer, and it looks a bit wonky. It's keeping its distance a little bit, but it's looking at you. And you notice that it's a little off. It's a little weird. It doesn't look quite right. You keep going, because you're like, well, you know what? It's a deer. It's a wild animal. I'm gonna leave it be. I'm not gonna bother it. You go away. And you see it again. And you know it's the same one because that one looks off. And this one also looks off in the same way. You go home and out of the window you see that same deer. It followed you home. I think that's absolutely mortifying if that's a random animal that doesn't look like it needs help or anything else. It just stalks you. And then you leave and it steals your food. It steals your weapons and belongings. Brandishing a knife at Shia LaBeouf. Lurking in the shadows. Wonder if they stop being mean if you give them a deer cracker after they follow you home. I don't think they're necessarily being mean. And I don't think they eat deer crackers. What's worse than a fucked up not deer? A fucked up not deer with a gun. Yeah, exactly. Like, they steal weapons. It doesn't even have thumbs. And also the fact that they rarely attack victims indoors. Rarely does not mean not. Actual cannibal Shia LaBeouf. I'm gonna theorize here, but I think it steals belongings. Like keeping a souvenir. It's like how some serial killers like to keep stuff of their victims, right? I feel like this deer is that. I feel like this deer is like that. Stealing food, I understand. Stealing weapons is like a whole new level of mortifying.
SCP-6448 are most commonly encountered in deep woodland, particularly at night or dusk when a person is alone. Any form of direct acknowledgement of SCP-64...
Maybe it is Shia LaBeouf. Maybe not deer is Shia LaBeouf. Shia LaBeouf analogy. Stealing all your belongings, it's Shia LaBeouf.
448's anomalous traits in these situations will always result in the victim's termination. In such situations, personnel are to observe the extract of service protocol attached to this file immediately. See below. Service Protocol, SCP Foundation, Cryptozoology Division. These actions should be carried out by anyone inadvertently interacting with SCP-6448 and are necessary for your survival. Please skip to the section with relevant information if your life is under threat. If you notice that a deer seems off, look away and ignore it. If it knows that you've noticed it, it's too late. If you hear your name, whistling, or something else in the woods calling for you, don't acknowledge it. Never acknowledge it exists. Don't respond. Don't go looking for it. Don't call back to it.
I hate that. My name? Pardon? It can speak? Oh, I hate this. I hate that. I hate that a lot. I hate that a whole lot. This is actually a very common thing in fairy tales and folklore as well, by the way. Because fairy tales and folklore try to warn you for things that go deep into the woods, because woods are dangerous. You can get lost easily in the woods. So if you do hear someone calling your name, ever, and if you're alone, it's not there. It is not there. Every single folkloric tale will try to warn you for that specific thing. It's not there. Do not approach, okay? Never. It's such a horror movie main character thing to do. It is a horror movie main character thing to do. And it's dumb. Did you know, by the way, there are so many myths and tales and legends about hearing voices in the woods and hearing words come from somewhere, you know, like echoes. It could be echoes, by the way. But there's also people hearing words spoken or just a person talking in the woods. There are a lot of tales that go that direction and tell you to be careful of those. Obviously, when you hear a random voice in the woods, you don't want to go there, okay? First of all, you don't know who that is. Maybe they're dangerous. Maybe they're not very nice. There could be a lot lurking in the woods that's not Shia LaBeouf. A very big explanation for that could be actually crows and ravens, because most corvids can mimic sounds, and a lot of them can mimic very specific sounds, and sound really convincing at that, but they usually sound low and raspy, which sounds pretty scary to most people. So if you hear that, it sounds mortifying. You're gonna be scared shitless, and you wanna go. And that's most likely where a lot of these stories and tales just started. They heard birds mimicking words and other sounds that humans tend to make, but in like a very low rattling voice. Because that's just how they sound most of the time. I am responsible for myths. Yeah, I single-handedly... You got me. It was me. It was all me. I am single-handedly responsible for everybody that's ever gone missing in the woods. I feed them all to Shia LaBeouf. The only cryptid I'm visiting is a hot mermaid. You might still die.
If you're walking at night and you feel something breathing on your neck or whispering behind you,
it's Shia LaBeouf lurking in the shadows. I'm sorry. That's it for the Shia LaBeouf comments.
the key to your safety is pretending that everything is normal. Your survival is dependent on your ignorance. Presently, SCP-6448 are known to inhabit only the Appalachian region of North America. The previous sentence was stricken from the document. History. SCP-6448 was officially assigned anomalous classification in 1980, though they have been recognized by local people since 1947. SCP-6448 is a firmly cemented figure in Appalachian folklore, known colloquially as the not deer due to their striking similarity to the species they imitate. Many locals claim to have encountered instances of SCP-6448 or possess knowledge of an individual who has. A majority of local communities living in rural areas of high activity are aware of the precautions required to avoid hostile encounters, primarily due to urban legends and stories involving the entities. SCP-6448 were previously researched at Site-41, located in an unknown location, North Carolina. On 11/01/1994, a group of 3 SCP-6448 instances broke into the site utilizing a tunnel system carved over an extended period of time.
Hold on. Wait, they made tunnels? The deer made tunnels. The deer made... Okay. Everything about this just gets worse. But what they said about the Appalachian folklore is actually where the not deer cryptid comes from. So that so far checks out. Tunnels, the natural enemy to the U.S. Army. But a tunnel system carved over an extended period of time. Like, how long are we talking? A group of 3 of them broke in. I didn't realize how many there were, or if they like banded together. I always thought it was like a single instance and then they found like a new one every once in a while. But 3 at the same time seems a little, you know, like I would probably shit myself.
Triggered containment breach alarm systems and the site entered lockdown protocol. The single instance kept in containment, being prepared for dissection, was lost in the breach and not recovered. Over the following decade, a further 5 SCP-6448 instances would be captured and contained, all of which would escape the site through tunnels carved by other SCP-6448 entities. The decision was made to transfer all instances to Site-44, overseas, to prevent further breaches. Since this decision, no capture attempts have been successful.
Overseas? Overseas. You're allowing them to spread? Where overseas are we talking? That was like an escape heist. They broke out one of their kind that was about to be dissected. The proliferation of this SCP will not backfire in any way whatsoever. They should just kill it. They should have just killed it. Lurking in the shadows. I'm sorry. Shia LaBeouf has infested my brain.
Addendum 6448 1. Recently recorded civilian encounters. The first reports of SCP-6448 surfaced around the week of 07/07/1947. In the time since the genus's discovery, many members of the public have encountered the entities, though most accidentally stumbling upon them do not alert local authorities. This is typically due to the SCP-6448 instance either merely watching the subject or becoming hostile. The following is a log of all recorded 911 calls related to SCP-6448 phenomena since the year 2000. Date: 02/01/2000. Details: Victim, aged 41, female, dialed emergency services after hearing their name being called from the woods near their home. The victim recounts the vocalization being likened to a scream in a voice that they do not recognize and requested assistance in locating the source. Emergency personnel requested the subject place their phone on the floor outside the home to listen for the alleged sounds. After 2 minutes, a vocalization was heard that was calling to the subject by name, emanating from the nearby forest. The subject was instructed to investigate the disturbance themselves and keep services updated on the situation. The victim then begins to walk into the woodland, getting about 50 meters.
They let her go into the wood alone? She calls for backup because it feels unsafe, and emergency services are like, yeah, you know what, you should go there. You should try and find out what it is. Is this a white person in a horror movie? I wouldn't go there. I would not go there. The not deer might control the police. If the police told me like, hey, could you go investigate? Like, nuh-uh, that's what you're for. You're investigating. I'm not doing shit. I'm staying inside my goddamn house. You can come here and you can go investigate, but I'm staying here. Nah, for real though. I would, if the police told me like, hey, yeah, there's someone screaming your name. We can hear it. It sounds very dangerous. How about, you go out And, just go check it out. We'll stay on the phone. In case anything happens. We can send an emergency vehicle for you if we notice that something happens. Nuh-uh. Your Honor, I plead nuh-uh. We're not doing that. I'm staying in my house, thank you very much.
Into the underbrush before inexplicably stopping. They claim there to be a noticeably large deer standing in the way of the path. She begins to walk closer. There states it does not move.
Why?
The subject diverts from the path and begins walking in a different direction. After 30 minutes, no source of the voice is determined. The caller returns to their residence.
What?
Date?
She just kind of leaves it at that. She's like, yeah, no, I didn't hear the voice anymore, but I did find this freaky ass deer. I'm gonna go home now. Like, she walked for 30 minutes. I would not have given it 10. I would not be out for 10. I was like, do I see anything? Nope. Is there anyone there? Nope. All right, cool. I'm leaving. Good for her. Definitely good for her if she survives.
13/06/2002. Details. Victim, age 28, male, calls 911 regarding a home break-in. The caller notes numerous items to be missing from their residence and requests an investigation. Operators dispatch 2 investigators to visit the home and discern a potential perpetrator. The pair note that based on earlier CCTV images, all cutlery, sharp objects, firearms, light bulbs, and a single copy of the novel, The Day After Roswell, are missing. Also noted is that there is a complete lack of any fingerprints at the scene, with no doors or windows having been broken into. Analysis of the home's CCTV footage revealed there to be a 2-hour period of missing film, with the exception of a single frame containing a service nippon on its hind legs reaching towards the camera. Its frontal hooves have been warped to resemble fingers. No footage of the entity exiting the home was discovered.
It can warp its hooves. Why am I surprised about that? Why am I surprised it can warp its hooves? Why am I surprised? They steal weapons? It doesn't even have thumbs. Of course it can. It has weird functionality. It walks in its hind legs. Its mouth looks like that. It has a different skull. Guys, I think we're boned. I think we're fucked.
Date, 19/11/2005. Details. A cattle farmer aged 54, male, reported to local authorities the sudden disappearance of over 30% of his largest herd. Response teams searched the nearby area for 4 hours, though found no trace of the cattle. The victim was recommended to set up trail cams and note any unusual activity overnight. At 01:11 a.m., 2 SCP-6448 are seen walking through the field before fleeing. One places an object into the ground, later discovered to be a single fork.
A fork?
A week after this discovery, 200 discarded bovine hooves appear at the location.
Okay, but why a fork? It placed an object into the ground. Why a fork? Is there any significance to the fork? They let you know that you'll be eaten soon. At the bovine 200 discarded bovine hooves. It's like, what, 50 cows?
Date, 04/03/2009. Details. Victim, age unknown, gender unknown, dials 911 to request assistance from animal services. The victim is stood within a forest in front of a service elephant, which is violently contorting. The animal is repeatedly ramming itself into a tree, covered in blood and viscera. The victim begins to state, "You'd better get a vet or something, I don't think it's well," before a piercing screech is heard and the line falls silent. Recovered footage depicts the aforementioned animal squirming, seemingly in pain. A viscous churning is audible as a black mass erupts out of the instance, and the video turns to static.
Wait, so they made a video? I thought they just called. I thought they dialed 911. They took a video of it? I hate how it also alters camera footage. I hate how it does that.
Date, 11/10/2012. Details. Victim, aged 23, male, is a junior wildlife officer at Cherokee National Forest, Tennessee. They radio their supervisor in early evening regarding a herd of Otocoileus virginianus within the reserve. Supposedly, there is a single animal that upon first glance appears average, though possesses divergent attributes including backward joints an enlarged abdomen, and forward-facing eyes. Upon stating this, a distant whistle is audible and the victim stumbles slightly. They begin to say, "What the hell? Did it just whistle at me?" before the sound of hooves rapidly getting closer is heard. Notably, the hoof steps did not sound to be in the traditional gallop of a servant. Date, 12/10/2012.
Was it on its hind legs?
Details. The aforementioned victim's supervisor calls the authorities following the victim's absence from the reserve night shift. Following this, their radio begins to crackle. The victim's voice can be heard on the other end, and he requests the supervisor's attention. He calls regarding a herd of Otocoileus virginianus within the reserve.
Say Otocoileus virginianus one more fucking time, my dude. You can also state the not Latin name. You can. You are able to. I trust you, SCP report. You can do this.
They claim there is a single animal that upon first glance appears
Peter, the not deer's here.
average, though possesses divergent attributes including backward joints, an enlarged abdomen, and forward-facing eyes. Suspecting the creature to be a rare genetic malformation, the victim requests their supervisor to come to the location. The supervisor questions the victim about what happened the night previous. There is no reply. Upon the supervisor's and law enforcement's arrival at the site, a herd of approximately 80 Otocoileus virginianus was present. A single entity is in the field's center and appeared to be standing separately from the rest of the group. It flees the scene upon realizing the law enforcement's presence. Where it formerly stood laid a park ranger's standard two-way radio. Date, 08/04/2016.
Wait, so the deer called the park ranger? Wait, the deer called? Suspecting the creature to be a rare genetic malformation, the victim requests their supervisor to come to the location. Questions the victim about what happened the night previous, but there's no reply. Upon the supervisor's and law enforcement's arrival on the site, a herd of approximately 80. There was no park ranger. It was just this stupid deer talking in the radio, trying to lure them out. But that means that they also does he command an entire group? Are other deer actual deer, or are they not deer too? I feel like the other deer are real deer because this one just stood out. This one stood out. It gets really scary if he commands an entire army of deer as well, you know. The forward-facing eyes are also crazy. They're actual predators instead of murder cryptids, right? Exactly. Like, they eat flesh. You can tell by their teeth, but they eat fucking flesh, man.
Honest was present. A single entity is in the field's center and appeared to be standing separately from the rest of the group.
Yeah,
it
separate.
flees the scene upon realizing the law enforcement's presence.
And everything
where
else
it
just
formerly
stays.
stood laid a park ranger's standard two-way radio.
Terrifying.
Date, 08/04/2016.
Ma, the weird deer is outside again.
Details. Victim, aged 35, female, dials 911 using a satellite phone, distressed. They state that they are in undisclosed county woods and are being followed. She claims that despite seeing no one for the duration of her hike, she feels as if she's being watched and has heard someone walking behind her at various points in the trip. The victim is unable to give an adequate description of her location, but knows the route to return to her residence. Operators request the victim to return to a point wherein she can provide a sufficient geographic description of her position. The victim remains on the line for the duration of the hike back to a readily used portion of the wilderness trail. Along the journey, various unnatural sounds can be heard. These include footsteps, rock slides, coughing, whispering, and whistling. Nearing the main trail, all woodland noises such as birds and wind cease suddenly, and the victim states she can see a malformed deer carcass coated in a thick layer of black slime-like substance. At this time, human screams can be heard in the distance. Operators request the victim continue and ignore other stimuli. Agents embedded in local law enforcement, suspecting SCP-6448 involvement, notify Gamma-4 to the situation. 20 minutes later, the victim returns to the main trail. Gamma-4, now operating the 911 call, informed the victim to not respond to any further unusual activity and briefly outlined service protocol. For the duration of the victim's journey to her home, 2 sets of breathing are audible. The victim successfully returns to her residence and shuts the door behind her. Now out of sight from SCP-6448, agents inquire upon the victim's address and the victim promptly complies. Operatives instruct the victim to have possession of all firearms and weapons on the premises and to barricade herself inside a safe space with 1 exfil point. The victim swiftly begins grabbing all available weapons and throwing them inside a wardrobe. It is at this time that there is a knock on the front door. The victim does not respond and continues to hoard sharp objects from kitchen drawers. The knocking becomes more violent as the handle is being jostled and shaken incessantly. A voice on the other side repeats the phrase, "Hello, it is me. Hello, let me in a calm manner as the door begins to shake.
What do you mean it is me?
The victim retreats to her wardrobe armed with a small firearm. Upon sealing herself in the space, the knocking ceases and footsteps can be heard, decreasing in volume. The sound of galloping is audible as the front door caves in. Footsteps can be now heard inside the home.
It is straight up stalking her, breaking and entering. I thought in the beginning it said it wouldn't just normally do that. Oh, but she did see the black goop. She saw the black slime. She saw the nasty.
The entity continues to repeat, "Hello, it is me. Hello, let me in," as it searches the small building.
Oh, do you think it knows she's in the closet?
A bright light flashes overhead, seemingly circling the house. Eventually, the entity enters the victim's bedroom. Through a small slit in the wardrobe door, the victim can see a Cervus canadensis standing on its hind leg.
Stop with the Latin names! Jesus Christ! Fucking Cervus canadensis up your ass!
And surveying the room. Its movements are crooked and stiff, seeming to struggle to stand in a bipedal fashion. It slouches down to a quadrupedal crouch, similar to the stance of an arachnid.
Oh no!
It inhales heavily.
Oh no!
And its head locks on the view of the wardrobe.
No!
It is noted as possessing human eyes. It scampers toward the subject and opens the door. A single gunshot is heard. Responders found no trace of either SCP-6448 or the victim.
I have questions. How do they know what it did if they found no trace of the victim? Because how can she tell them anything? How can she tell them anything if she is not there? Maybe she was on the phone and texting, but then isn't that her own fault for having her phone open? Lifeline, if she's talking, then obviously it's gonna hear her. I like the touches of the descriptors, but realistically you should not be able to know those. I bet he's fun at parties. Hello, fellow Homo sapien. Me in the closet when I forgot to turn off the typing sound. Maybe there's a friendly SCP that can make people see what happens somewhere. They would usually note that they use the help of a certain SCP for that stuff. So I think this is just someone got really into writing it and forgot that she's no longer on the phone. Or at least she wouldn't be able to talk on the phone if she is still on the phone. Because a single gunshot is heard, but there's no way to hear what she's saying because the deer would hear her. She would probably be frozen in shock as well, you know.
It should be noted that this represents a small fraction of human to SCP-6448 encounters, as the majority of occasions go unnoticed and undocumented. On these occasions, all associated video, photographs, and objects were confiscated by MTF Gamma-4, who also called off public investigation. Cover stories 356 Alpha, Home Break-In, and 898 Gamma, Missing 411 were successfully implemented.
Oh.
Addendum 6448, 2, Incident 6448 Alpha.
The Missing 411 is also a thing. I looked into that a little bit, but I think it has to do with a lot of people going hiking in nature areas and just simply not returning. Mysteriously just kind of disappearing. Or returning way later, but I feel like none of them have been found. I feel like they're actually missing.
On 29/11/2019, Mobile Task Force Gamma-4, Green Stags successfully detained and captured an instance of SCP-6448. With the assistance of Mobile Task Force Nu 7 Hammer Down's Heavy Vehicles Division, and highly.
Oh, it's Mobile Task Force. I was like looking inside my brain what MTF could mean, and the only thing I could find was male to female. Congrats on the transition. They force-femmed the entire task force.
Experimental shock rifles. The resulting skirmish left a single instance unconscious, which was swiftly placed aboard an armored CH-47 Chinook helicopter en route to Site 44 in England to prevent outside assistance.
In England?
Upon reaching the site, the sedated entity was transferred to a containment cell without incident. The following is a log of events thereafter.
Y'all, they're in Europe. If they can swim, we're boned. They're in England. Thank God that's also an island. They're definitely smart and capable enough to hijack a ship and go around the world. Oh, they would be. Oh, they would be. Oh, shit, they would be. Oh, I hate that, actually. They would be. They would be. Y'all, it's over. The Americans put them here. Thank you, America.
Incident 6448, Alpha. Date,
That's the alpha of the group.
2019. Location, Site 44, Foulness Island, England. Playing log now. SCP-6448 instance is contained within a large reinforced steel containment cell, having just awoken from heavy sedation. Cryptozoology specialist F. Oz stands in front of a large one-way glass window that encompasses the room's south side.
Greetings, SCP-6448.
The instance suddenly bolts upright and stares at the intercom.
Can you understand me? We've seen your genus speak English just fine in the past.
The instance does not respond. It begins licking its arm.
Please, we know your secret.
The instance pauses.
Admittedly, it wasn't exactly well kept. If you just look at yourself for more than a few seconds, it is very clear that you're not normal.
The instance is stood facing away from the window. Its neck swivels 180 degrees, visibly breaking multiple vertebrae as there is an audible crack. It does not blink.
I thought you said this was one way.
The instance's gaze remains locked on researcher Oz.
Are you something imitating deer? It is clear that, if so, you possess basic anatomical knowledge on them, though details are faulty. In fact, a better question would be, how? Assuming you are not what you pretend to be.
The instance opens its mouth, which contains abnormally sharp teeth. Its jaw moves in a manner that seems to imitate speech. No intelligible dialect is heard, rather a sound similar to gagging or choking is audible.
Shall we move on? What I'm more concerned with here is why you take our people. Is it to settle a vendetta? For food? Spite?
The instance blinks for the first time in the interview. The movement is noticeably forced.
Responding is mandatory.
The instance shows no reaction.
Imagine telling a deer, like, you have to answer me. Like, what's gonna happen if you don't, huh? What's gonna happen if they don't? You really think a deer is gonna listen to that? Also, the one-way glass. Ugh. Okay.
Will not comply. Maybe you'd like to see your brand new containment cell. Research. What kind of device? 1947.
The instance suddenly rams the 20-inch thick one-way glass, cracking it slightly. The instance begins to collapse. It contorts violently and begins screaming. Its abdomen bulges and writhes.
Get the stags in here now!
A black, viscous mass of tendrils erupts out of the instance's side.
Ugh.
It leaps and squirms around the cell
Venom!
before shattering the viewing window. The remaining carcass is entirely hollow.
Containment breach detected. All personnel report to the nearest safe room. Containment sector 4 last floor will seize in 10 seconds.
The tendrilless mass swiftly maneuvers outside of Sector 4 in seconds, clearing the lockdown area. It travels in the direction of the main exit.
Full high block initiated. Locking main exit in 5 seconds.
The mass clears the main desk. It shatters the glass on the front exit and disappears into the outside shrubbery.
A shrubbery!
End log. A 2-month-long...
So it was one-way glass. The deer knew that there was a researcher behind it, and then it mimicked his voice. Dude, what the shit? Stupid dumbass talks to deer. Newspaper headline. I feel like it's the black slime. Like, I think they made it pretty clear that it's the black slime that is the conscious part, and that is just like wearing the deer indeed. SCP Foundation deals with stuff like a zombie virus and things that kill everyone that hears a bell ring. There's no way they're this incompetent. Sometimes they have like the super incompetent researchers, and I don't know why. They have really incompetent researchers sometimes. That's why they have protocols, except they don't follow protocols a lot of the time. Glass shatters on the front desk and disappears into the outside shrubbery. So he also escaped. That's great. He escaped.
Long search proved inefficient in locating the escaped anomaly. Additionally, since this incident, there has been an unprecedented increase of CWD-afflicted deer and UFO reports in the area surrounding Site-44. Further research is ongoing. Okay. I think that about does it for today. Thank you for listening, if indeed you still are, and you are all dismissed. Goodbye.
So not only did it escape, it's still on the loose. Article was written by Aussie Lizard. Do you think that is Dr. Oz? That is the last of this video. Let me check out the actual wiki. Since it's written by many authors, inconsistencies and let's also not forget that these are written by just people as like a hobby, like as a passion thing, right? Oh, right, they crossed out the Appalachian region of North America because they let them loose. No capture attempts have been successful, but they have been, so they also crossed that out. These are the details. I'm trying to see if there are mentions of other SCPs. Oh, this is the actual service protocol. If you hear your name whistling or something else in the woods calling for you, don't acknowledge it. Never acknowledge it exists. Don't respond, don't go looking for it, don't call back to it. But the people on the phone did tell that lady to, like, go look for it. Like, yeah, you should definitely go and see. The key to your safety is pretending that everything is normal. This feels like a lot of Southeast Asian ghost stories. Just pretend it's not there and the ghost will leave. They were using her as a D-class. Yeah. The moment you acknowledge that you hear it or know that it's there or witness it, you're dead. It's over. Wait, Site-44? What's Site-44? That's in England, right? Yeah, the British Isles. Cryptozoology Division insignia. Okay, well that makes sense. That it's being located to there. But it's a bit weird that they're putting it into an English facility all the way from America. Especially considering they let it go. They let it loose. Here's a cryptid wiki. Here's what I found. It's often attributed to Appalachian folklore. This one looks a little terrifying, I'm not gonna lie. Composite image superimposing the forward-facing eyes of a wolf onto a deer, provided as an approximation of what a not deer may look like facially. This one is a similar picture to what the one on the SCP page. Not exactly the same, but definitely like a deer looking at you kind of picture. Double-jointed limbs, unusually long limbs, joints that bend in the wrong direction, barrel-like chest, forward-facing eyes, multiple eyes, malformed antlers, and cow-like heads. The forward-facing eyes appear to be the most consistently mentioned feature, but I feel like if you see deer like this and it's dark and you shine a flashlight on them, you're gonna see this and you're like, oh, his eyes are on the front, even though they're not necessarily or technically on the front. One of the explanations that obviously is the SCP explanation is the supernatural one. The true nature of the deer is unknown, with stories and reports usually suggesting that the creatures are either possessed deer or creatures mimicking deer. Whether these creatures are spirits, demons, or perhaps extraterrestrials in disguise is usually not speculated upon, which is often the case with cryptids and also with SCPs. I like that they do that. The real explanations that could be there are chronic wasting disease, which is zombie deer syndrome. The most obvious symptom of the disease is dramatic weight loss, which can cause the chest to look like it's barreled or puffy or whatever, but it's because the deer is just really, really, really skinny. You can see it here, chronic wasting disease. They become less social with other deer, less fearful, and may develop tremors or repetitive walking patterns, and they may drool excessively and grind their teeth. While not always caused by a disease, the phenomenon of cactus bug is also known as cryptorchid bugs. may account for some strange-looking deer. When a male's body does not produce enough testosterone, such as due to its reproductive organs being injured, their antlers will remain in the velvet phase permanently and continue to grow into strange and malformed shapes, which is like this one. Cactus bug definitely gives for a lot of weird-looking deer, and I feel like if they do signal the antlers being odd, like malformed antlers as a sign, then cactus bug is definitely an option there. And then there is epizootic, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, hemorrhagic disease, known to affect the appearance and behavior of deer, producing weak and clumsy movement, a swollen head, neck and tongue, and indifference to humans, internal and external, bleeding, and cracked hooves, which is mostly just the behavior explained. Occasionally, deer will develop long-term infections of their sinus cavities, leading to the phenomenon of bullwinkle deer, where deer have unusually bulbous noses. This may account for some not deer sightings where the deer's face are described as cow-like. It looks a bit odd. It does look a bit odd. It looks a bit like a hippo, if you ask me. This one is a deer with chronic wasting disease. You can tell that he's just not really okay. If that is something that people are alerted to when they see a deer and they're like, wait, that one doesn't look very normal, that one doesn't behave very normal, and they immediately link it to a cryptid, you can get more sightings. But I do think it's a very cool and interesting cryptid because the SCP does acknowledge the cryptids being a thing. Here, sightings to be blamed upon chronic wasting disease. But they do acknowledge there is like a cryptid, and this is most likely the cryptid, but they just kind of like made it into much more than the cryptid has ever been. I like that the SCP is like a continuation of the cryptid, because where the cryptid kind of leaves it be like, oh, we don't know what it is. There could be a lot of things. Even in the supernatural part, the SCP entry goes where the original cryptid report doesn't go. Okay, so that was not deer. That was not deer. I like not deer as an SCP. I think it's very well done. Because I want to finish a video under 3 hours for once. For once in my life. Little Yap hasn't killed anybody though. You say that, but you don't see the amount of casualties.